Declarations are in for this Saturday at Ascot, British Champions Day, Saturday the 15th of October. As usual, we'll start with the weather and going. It's good to soft in places, 4.2 mil of rain overnight to Thursday AM, and pretty much dry between now and Saturday, according to the forecast. A maximum rainfall of 2.5 mil in that forecast, could be absolutely nothing. So we're looking at good to soft in places, and it'll probably stay that way. The vast majority of horses entered on Monday have stood their ground, which is good news for a punting card. I've covered most of the headline acts in the two previous videos, so we're here to get the best bets and value. Starting with the long distance cup at 125. St. Ledger winner Eldar Eldarov has been declared, which wasn't certain at the start of the week. We've got two 3-year-olds near the top of the market, Eldar Eldarov as mentioned, and Waterlooville from the Aidan O'Brien camp. But they are a country mile behind Trueshan on what they've actually achieved so far. They might be unexposed, they might be on the up, but Trueshan is the one with the form in the book, surely. They could well improve, they might do. But as we say every week, it's all about price, and there's no way that Trueshan should be pretty much the same price as Eldar Eldarov and Waterlooville. You can get Trueshan at 2 to 1. I just think that's good. It's got to be a bet, hasn't it? I mean, I'm on record saying that the St. Ledger that Eldar Eldarov won was the worst renewal for years, albeit I can admit that he was visually impressive on the day. And Waterlooville has never won anything more than a handicap. In fact, he's never even raced in a group race before, and this, albeit a Group 2, is up to the level of a Group 1. I just think you should keep it simple. Back Trueshan at 2 to 1. Eldar Eldarov's 5 to 2. Waterlooville has been on the drift all week. He's 4 to 1. And you've got the likes of Coltrane and Quickthorn at double figure prices. I wouldn't write off either of those. They've been hot and cold at various points this season, the pair of them. If they're on a hot day, there's nothing to say that they can't win. But I just think Trueshan 2 to 1 is a big price here. If you were to say, 3 months back that Trueshan would be 2 to 1 to win the long distance cup at Ascot on Champions Day with no Stradivarius, no Kyprios, and no Mojo Star in opposition, you would have snapped their hand off at the time, and I think you should do so the same now. On to the 2 o'clock, the Champion Sprint. Probably a better renewal than I gave it credit for earlier in the week. The facts remain: the winners of the two most recent UK and Irish Group 1 sprints do not line up in this race. The winners of the last 4 UK and Irish Group 1 races do not line up. The likes of Minzal, Highfield Princess don't line up. So it's a good renewal, not great. I made a case for Perfect Power on Tuesday night. Advised him at 10 to 1 anti-post. So we've got that one running for us. And there's plenty to like about him. Track, trip, ground, freshness. I said all that earlier in the week. He's actually 11 to 1 now. So we've got him in the book. We'll leave him where he is. The truth is, I find it difficult to be confident about anything in this race. The top of the market, you can make a strong case for all of them. I wouldn't be against any of them particularly. Creative Force won this last year and ran really well in 2 Group 1s on British soil this season. Rohan, second favourite at 9 to 2, loves Ascot and looks to be in the form of his life. Kinross got a deserved first Group 1 win at Longchamp last time. He's 13 to 2, and a drop back to 6 furlongs at Ascot shouldn't really be a problem for him. I don't think he's a really interesting runner, Kinross. And Art Power, one who I mentioned on our first video a few weeks ago, looked really well, really good when winning a Group 3 last time over in Ireland. He won that race last year en route to here. He was 3 to 1 favourite for this race last year and ran a respectable 4th. Then after that, we're on to Perfect Power, who's in there at 11 to 1. Clearly, and as I pretty much just have done, you can make a strong argument for any of those. But it's Art Power that I'm siding with at this stage. You can get 17 to 2 each way, 5 places. This has been the perfect race for him all season in my mind. His warm-up run for this in Ireland was almost perfect. Ran really well in this race last year when probably on the wrong side of the track. He was stuck out on a wing. Drawn stand side, raced alone for much of the race and went through the race as good as anything, just unfortunately wasn't up there with the pace on the far side. Creative Force was the winner. So Art Power is the bet at 17 to 2, each way 5 places. And yes, we already are on Perfect Power at 10 to 1 anti-post. On to the Fillies and Mare Stakes. We've actually got, incredibly here, 2 horses that have been balloted out of a Group 1. The maximum field of 14, I think 16 were declared. I've never come across in this country horses being balloted out of a Group 1. It's good news. Obviously, we moan about field sizes all the time in flat racing. So yeah, great. We've got a maximum field of 14. I think the 2 balloted out. One of them was Miss On Sin. or Maison C, however you say that one. So yeah, good, decent enough horses being balloted out. The two lowest rated horses have been balloted out, and that's the way that process takes place. Anyway, we're on Eternal Pearl, 7-1. That was the first horse or bet that I put up ante-post for Champions Day. She's into as low as 5-1 now. Has got a leading chance for sure. Unlike the previous race, where there was a strong argument for all of them at the top of the market, in my opinion, in this race, there's at least 2 or 3 at the top of the market that I've got question marks over. Emily Upjohn, 7-2 favourite. She's one of them. Massive questions to answer. She bombed out badly in the King George. I've said that on more than one occasion on this channel. That was way back in July when we last saw her. Ishada is near the top of the market. It's pretty open, as you would imagine, with 14 runners. She's as low as 6-1, as big as 9-1. Ishada won this race last year in what was an awful renewal in hindsight, but we can all be clever after the event. SD actually put her up on the channel this day last year, and she was 16-1 or something. I backed her as well. But Ishada has done absolutely nothing this season. So the one I'm going for in obviously a wide open race is Sila Rosa. She's 7-1. You can get each way 5 places. I think that's a nice concession to get the 5 places. That's only with one operator in the market on Oddschecker. She's had 5 starts this season, Sila Rosa, 4 wins and a second, a Group 3 win, a Group 2 wins, and a Group 1 win on her last start. There's a lot to like. Her 2 most recent wins have come in France in lesser company than what she will face here. It was a Group 1 by pretty much name only last time on Arc Weekend Saturday in the Royal Year, I think it's called. But she's certainly in great form. She's got better and better with every start this season, Sila Rosa. She'll need to improve again to win here, but you wouldn't put it past her. William Aggis doing the training, chasing the title, Tom Marquand in the saddle, and he gets on really well with her. It was a great ride from Tom Marquand over in France last time. The ground will be fine. She'll certainly stay the trip, and she's 7-1 each way, 5 places. As always, we'll put that in the description. I thought that was a decent enough bet in a wide open race. And yes, for those that followed on Eternal Pearl anti-post, I'm happy with that position as well. On to the QE2, much to my dismay. The 320 Queen Elizabeth II Stakes over a mile. Modern Games, much to my dismay, has been declared. But Charlie Appleby is on weather much. He will not want any more rain. But even if he does run Modern Games, the good to soft surely doesn't see him at his best effect, and they'll take it easy on him in the last couple of furlongs if he's not liking the ground, surely, with the Breeders' Cup in mind. I can see him getting an easy time of it late on. Inspiral is the clear favourite. 11-10 standout with one operator in the market, but a general even money shot. You can possibly see her going odds on with the Frankie Dettori factor. It wouldn't be a betting race for me at this stage, but I have already put up the Revenant anti-post earlier this week at 5-1 each way. You can actually get 6-1 each way now, so that wasn't the best piece of advice I've ever given. It's a safety first bet, yes, and is actually a bigger price now than what I put him up at, yes, but we'll stick with what we've got anti-post there. He's won this race before. He ran a good 4th last year. I thought he ran really well on his warm-up for this race. Ground fine, trip fine, and I think that those behind the top 4 in the market, let's say Inspiral, Modern Games, the Revenant and Jadumi were supplemented. I think the rest of them, there's not a lot to talk about in this 9-runner field. Tempest, Bayside Boy, Check and Challenge, El Drama and Radeborg. No opers, if you ask me. I could well be proven wrong, and that might come back to bite me next week. But yeah, we're on the Revenant each way. If you're going in afresh now and you didn't follow me the other day at 5-1, back him at 6-1 now, each way 3 places, standard each way terms there. On to what is the most likely to be the main event for most. Baaeed, the Champion Stakes. He's Baaeed's swan song. He's trying to make it 11 out of 11 before retiring after this race. The best horse we've seen on these shores for some time. Of that, there is no doubt. We had Mark Palmer in the comments the other day on the last video. He made a strong argument for Adayar, last year's Derby winner, in the comments. Adayar's 5-1. Baaeed is 2-7. It's certainly an intriguing matchup, but unlikely to be a betting race for many, with the next horse in the market behind those two, Bay Bridge at 12-1. And there's really not many angles into this race, even though without the Baaeed market is going to be dominated by Adayar, where I'm sure he'll probably be odds on in that market, although I've not looked. Let me just have a quick look now. Even money Adayar in the without Baaeed market seems about fair. So there's not even much legs really in getting involved in that little event as a byproduct of this race. I just think that, sit back and enjoy this race with Baaeed. Adayar does provide a stern test. possibly the sternest. You've read in the comments, and we discussed it the other day on our video. But one thing I will say is that Adayar and Baybridge, to an extent, in the field gives us a possibility of Baayyid registering a monster form figure if he is to go on and win well. He's already on a mark of 135. We all know there's only one horse that's gone beyond that this century in Europe. So Baayyid with a dominant performance over good horses, very good horses like Adayar, and decent horses like Baybridge could really go on and push that 135 figure up to pretty much unprecedented levels, other than you know who. On to the final race, the Balmoral Handicap. As predicted, a maximum field of 20 line up. There was only 2 of the top 20 on official ratings or in the weights that came out. So only horses number 21 and 22 on the list from Monday got in. There was actually 58 entries on Monday, and a lot of them have gone away disappointed because they got no way near getting in. Anyway, it's 6 or 7 to 1 the field. There's pretty much very little between top and bottom weight here of the 20 runners. It's basically a listed race, if you ask me. It's difficult. It is difficult, and you could make an argument for any number of these horses. Some well-known names in there, and that we've seen in races similar to this throughout the year. The one I've landed on, and the one I'll be having a couple of quid each way on, is Magical Morning, who ran a stormer in this race last year when third at 66 to 1. He's significantly shorter than that this year, but it's still a decent price. Magical Morning, you can get 25 to 1 each way, 6 places. That's what I'll be taking. He looked better than ever when winning at Doncaster in June earlier this year, but hasn't fired on 3 starts since, let's be honest, Magical Morning. If you can bring yourself to draw a line through those 3 starts, and it is a bit of a leap, and you have got to be a bit forgiving to do that, but if you concentrate on the fact that Magical Morning is dropping down in the handicap to a more workable mark of 105. He was as high as 110 earlier in the year, and a return to softer ground. He clearly goes well in this race, as he did last year, finishing third. Soft ground, fine. Ascot, fine. And his mark's coming down as well. He's worth a go at a big price. He's a tentative each way bet at 25 to 1. Basically, anything could win that last race, and that's what you get for a 20-runner handicap at Ascot. All the best bets will be in the description below. As normal, either 1 point win or 1 point each way. There's nothing fancy about it. Thanks for watching, and shout out to the likes of Jimmy Duff, Night Owl, Mark Palmer, who have been commenting in the comment section this week. Some good debates in there. Keep it up. Thanks for watching, and let me know your best bets in the comment below.